Hi, I'm Cynthia Dearin, Managing Director of Dearin & Associates, and I'm delighted to have Aaron Gilchrist, one of the original partners of Bridge to Life Pty Ltd, with me today. Hi, Aaron. How are you doing?
Hi, Cynthia. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, we're going to talk today about how Bridge to Life went from being a very small company to being an international success.
Sure. Yes. So again, I'm Aaron Gilchrist. I'm from the great state of South Carolina in the United States. We call it the Palmetto State. Yeah, my background is an international business. I studied abroad in Europe for some time and got the passion, the bug for international business really early. A little bit about Bridge to Life. Bridge to Life is a company with a unique name. It sounds a bit like a nonprofit, but it's not. But it is serving a great cause. We work in the cause of organ donation, and we supply products that are used to preserve organs during the time that they are transported between donation and transplantation. So that's a little bit about what we do.
Yeah, thank you. So when did you start the company?
Yeah, so we started the company originally in 2005, and we went commercial around the end of 2008 to the beginning of 2009.
Okay, and so what was it that made you decide to start expanding overseas, and when was that? How soon after you started were you looking at international markets and thinking, wow, we need to go there?
Yeah, I mean, our original focus was predominantly just letting people know who we were in the United States. It was about a year or so after that we started to get a few inquiries from some far-reaching countries that heard about our product. We actually took a very more, let's say, concerted effort toward going global around, let's say, 2011 into 2012.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and some of the, did you want to know some of the things that, that went into doing that? There were some other companies that weren't doing well with similar products as well. So we picked up on that, and we realized that there was an underserved market, and we could actually go in with our, let's say, commitment to the product, standing behind the product, whereas the other companies were kind of just letting it run itself.
And Aaron, how did you choose where you were going to go?
Yeah, so in a way, it kind of chose us. In the first part, I should say, Europe was a place that we really wanted to do business. However, there was at the same time that we were planning a sort of a wonderful opportunity. At the same time that we were planning to go to Europe, is when a company was falling down in Europe. So in a way, we would not have gone exactly the way that we did in Europe, but we still were going to go there. One of the reasons we decided originally to go there was because there was a lot of research and development happening in our industry in Europe, and also that we could access that market. There was a bit of some connection between the United States and Europe. Some of the doctors that we worked with, we knew that they could help refer us into the right places. So
you already had connections when you got started, or a few connections.
Few connections, yeah, not many, but some key ones, and they were really important to us, kind of going fast when we arrived.
And what was your strategy to getting, into your first international market? What did it look like?
Yeah, so logistics are key. You can imagine in organ donation, a lot of things can go wrong, especially when you look at the logistical piece. The whole business is centered around making certain that you always have product at the right time at the right place. Yeah. And doing business from the United States with a field office and beginning in London, we had to be same day ready to do business. And on any given day, somebody might run out of product or need product to do an organ transplant. One of our secrets to success has been utilizing third-party logistics providers who have been able to not only help us, let's say, pick and pack product and ship product and warehouse product, near the airport, for instance, to be same-day capable, but also to help us with things like just the logistics of getting the product in, duties, and other types of things that have to be taken care of financially with moving product overseas.
And what was the UK was your first market, is that right? That was the very
one of our first concerted efforts. That's right.
And once you'd done that, what happened next? Because I mean, we haven't talked about this yet, but Bridge to Life is actually now in 50 countries. Is that right?
Yeah, 50 countries. Yeah. So when we went to Europe, it was a bit of a, there was some luck involved and some hard work as well. So London was our foothold. Then we realized there was many different conferences we needed to go to, many doctors we needed to meet. We basically started with one field representative. We set up an office so that we could handle our taxes. We actually set up a company, sort of a side company in London that was a UK-based company. And I began going over quite a lot and working together with my field rep and developing relationships in other countries besides the UK, Europe specific.
And what was the thing that really motivated you to go on this, this international adventure? Because it really is an adventure, when you get started and you've been selling things at home and then suddenly you're selling them all over the world. What was that about for you?
To me, it was like having the best play date ever. I mean, it was so much fun. I mean, it was really, we were going out, we were knocking on doors, we were doing the same stuff that we did before. So it was really a lot of fun. It was an adventure, but at the same time, it was probably 10 times the work of doing business back home in the United States. Yeah. The reality was, the reality is, the United States is one big market. And when you go do business in an area like Europe, you're dealing with many markets, and they don't always operate the same way. You need different regulatory things. It was a lot of hard work. So there were some times when you're like, wow, have I bitten off more than we can chew? But you just had to take it one step at a time and go where the demand was sort of the easiest, but also begin to push. Feel the markets and push and pull where. Put the effort where the markets were showing themselves as available. And so
if you think back, across the various challenges that you've faced over the last 10 years or so, what can you just tell us about some of the ones that spring to mind as the biggest, or the ones that have frightened you the most, or, tested your limits the most?
Yeah. As you say that, the one that really comes the biggest to mind is our foray into China. A lot of people have certain preconceptions about China. I think some of them are misconceptions, which maybe we get into. But there was another major factor in our decision not to go to China until 2015, and then eventually to go to China, and it was relevant to a policy that they had in China to have organs from executed prisoners. And that was a tough one for us, and we would not go into that market until they signed an agreement with the World Health Organization saying that they would no longer do that. So you can imagine our fear and trepidation going into a market where that was a possibility. And it still hangs over us a little bit. We're very, very careful with whom we engage in that country. As a result. It's crazy to think about that sort of thing happening, but it's a different place to do business.
That is really, really interesting. And if you think about the growth of the company, because obviously it's been a pretty huge success, to what do you credit that success? What do you think you've done correctly that's made the company so successful?
It's really easy. There's two things. The first thing that we did to be successful, let's say in introducing ourselves to the market, was always putting the cause of the industry first. So no matter what industry you work in, ours is very easy to attach to a cause, because you're saving 7-8 lives for every organ every organ donor that donates their organs. And one of the things that we do is we promote heavily together with nonprofit organizations around the world. We promote heavily the cause of registering to become an organ donor. We do that through some specific projects that we initiate, and we also do that with, let's say, combining our efforts with the efforts of our clients to do that. That's been one big thing. So that's to gain notoriety. But it's not just gaining the notoriety that wins you the business. It's also the delivery of what you do. And I think that it goes back to something we talked about earlier, which is always being same day ready in the market to be able to deliver within hours the product that you have. And
Yeah.
utilizing a robust logistical third-party network has been really a key to, let's say, defending our position in those markets from others coming in.
And is that because you can always be same day ready, and so people know that you are the best at what you do, and so therefore they return to you time and time again?
Well, that's part. I mean, you give them assurance, right? And then when somebody comes and tries to take your business away, you know, you can defend yourself not only with just, let's say, a lower price alternative. You can say the services that you're going to miss out on, and it helps you sort of have traction in a space where people can come in and just sort of try to knock you off with a generic or something.
Is there anything you do differently?
Yeah, it's a great question. I felt like we were very slow in Europe. I felt like we could have gone a lot faster in Europe. And I think that we probably missed out on significant market share by not being ready when the demand was there, and not being, let's say, not putting reps in specific countries where I think we could have done better in that regard, where we really sort of showed that we were committed to that area. While we were committed in our own minds, in our own the way that we were doing business. I think that had we put people on the ground in some certain countries, we would have moved a little faster and done a little better.
Now, you and I have talked about this before in another forum, but when you're looking at international expansion, you're considering it, and you're taking steps through that process, how important do you think is your gut instinct, and how important do you think is the process of research and I guess objective data on which to make your decisions?
You got to have both. You got to have, sometimes you got to have the data to make the gut decision, the gut reaction, don't you? And I think I think it's how we got started talking, Cynthia. I was thinking about that very thing, and having a, Brian, that's on the thing. Having a gut reaction is a very, you have to know when you go into a market that you're doing the right thing and that you're working with the right people. That's first and foremost. But secondly, you do have to have the data to know that you're going into those right markets. So it's a very important piece to that. So I think they're equally as important.
Yeah. Okay. That's really helpful. And I guess finally, Aaron, if you were giving advice to other small companies looking to expand into international markets, what would that be? What would you tell people?
You know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. You've got to be passionate about it. And if you're not passionate about it, hire people who are. And I think that's the key to anybody's success in this space.
Aaron, it has been a real pleasure talking to you today. Thanks for coming along to have a chat, and I hope to see you back here chatting to me again sometime soon.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.